done 365 days of horsemanship, day 364. I think technically today is day 365, but tomorrow I really want to take the time to look back, reminisce, think about everything that has been achieved in this project. And so today I just kind of want to talk about how yesterday and today have been. It's been a really interesting couple of days. There's definitely been some new stuff and some stuff that I haven't tried before, and I think the whole thing's just super exciting. Mia's here with me. We've just finished doing her poultice, and we're just taking like a slow meander while having some grass together back to the field, working on our timing, which is something that's really hard for me because there's we've had a really good session today. I had to do her poultice, and so I came to her and I didn't have the halter with me. The halter was down at the bottom of the valley. And so my kind of challenge to myself is, can I convince her to come down with me? Now, I did have to use some insistent and dominant leadership. I don't think I was super dominant. I think I was able to kind of be like quite insistent just with my body position. But I was able to get her down, and it was really lovely actually. It was like one of those things where like I used pressure, but I was mindful of my timing, and it kept getting better, which was really nice. Like it was just a case of just keeping the pressure on until there was a forward step, and then just taking the time to just breathe and rest and think and look. And then like kind of my cue to go back to the pressure again was when she started trying to eat. And then it was just kind of like a nuanced as she became more and more comfortable with us walking down together, being able to, that one was better, more harmonious. Being able to kind of ask for that little bit more to keep the momentum going, keep the flow going. Then we came up and we walked along. This is like, for us, it's kind of like Sweet Alley. Like this for Mia is like walking through the sweet shop and not being able to eat anything, right? Because for her, there's just like so much amazing grass. And as far as she's concerned, she's not allowed to eat any of it. And that's like super frustrating for her. And there's quite a few different tactics that I've used with her in the past. And it's kind of very variable, like dependent on how dominant I want to get. But basically, I'll often use sideways if I really just need to go and I don't really have time. Then I'll use sideways as like how do I say, like a reaction to the grass. So it's like if she wants to eat the grass, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, this is a great opportunity for us to practice our sideways. And then we're practicing the sideways, and at some point she's like, oh my god, can't we just walk forward? And I'm like, yeah, what a great idea. And then if she like decides she wants to stop and eat again, then we practice sideways again. And that's been kind of working well, but it's not really improving the long-term picture. Like I really have to stay on top of it, and if I am not practicing that with her, then basically she, after some time, will become less willing to walk, and the eating will increase again. And when I was with Elsa in July in the New Forest, she talked there about allowing the horses to eat, and accepting that like that's kind of a part of what's natural for them, and facilitating rests before they feel the need to rest. And she talked about some other methods as well, but that was the one that really struck me. It's also the one that Andrea talks about, Andrea Wadey in Crossing Bridges. And so I'm kind of in a place now where I've tried it a couple times and it has worked out. Like I found that if I give her regular rests for grass, then I have this like mindset where I'm like looking for the next place to go. I'm like, oh, quick, come over here because there's good grass. Oh, quick, come over here because there's good grass. Like she's also getting that first bite, which is always the best bite, and then she has a better experience as well. Hi mama. She's like, what you doing? Hi. And so it's something that I think I need to practice, but I just, you know, the patience is hard, right? Having the patience to really accept that the walk is going to take longer is hard. So I thought I would take this opportunity to do the video whilst I've been letting her just eat, basically. And yeah, luckily our gate is just there, because the horses are in the first field, which is super nice. So I don't have to walk all the way down. But yeah, it's been a really nice day. Mia's poultice is coming along really nicely. She's still got a lot coming out of there, but that's really good. I'm happy there's stuff coming out. Yesterday there wasn't really anything in the poultice and I was a bit worried about that, but today there's been a lot more, so that's really super. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah, and her mindset just seems really like in a good place. Like, even though we had a bit of an argument about the grass on the way up, that made me feel like after we'd come out of her field and we came through the grass area with the halter on, even though we had a bit of an argument there, and that was what kind of made me think, do you know what, this is it, I've got to commit to this slow journey now, and stop fighting her. Even though we'd had that argument, like, Mia's so much more emotionally resilient about that stuff than Lawrence is. Like, for Lawrence, like, that moment of conflict or confrontation would have been really hard for him, and he would have been anxious the rest of the time that we were together. Whereas I think for Mia, like, being able to, like, have a conflict and then move on and do something else and, like, maintain the connection and maintain kindness and calmness and, like, generosity and understanding and empathy, I think actually helps her feel safe. And I think that's really nice for both of us, because it makes our relationship feel a lot more secure. So with Mia, things have been really great. Lawrence is still doing really well after his colic scare, and yesterday I had my first ever experience of assertive leadership with him, which was very cool. So I'm very, like, aware that I'm very aware and concerned about the potential for mistaking insistent leadership for assertive leadership. And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm putting an amount of pressure on that becomes so uncomfortable that the horse decides that it's better to do the thing I want to do, as far as I understand it, that's still insistent. Like, even if you're because without that pressure, they wouldn't have made that decision, right? So yesterday, and like thinking about, you know, the perspective of, like, moving from passive through supportive to assertive, theoretically, you never need to use insistent leadership, right? Because it's all about timing and, like, building those associations. And, like, Lawrence and I have been working a lot yesterday and today on the touching distance. And yesterday had an opportunity where he was standing with his friend in a corner and I could see his friend was about to push on him, and I was like, let's just yield our front end away so we can walk away from that. And he was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. And just having that feeling of, like, coming in, putting my hand on him, having the intention to move, and immediately he was like, yeah, I agree, that's a good idea. And I was like, oh, that's it, that's assertive leadership. Like, I'm not being like, I want you to yield because I say so. It's like, hey, this seems like a good idea. And he's like, oh my God, I think so too. And so that was really exciting, because that felt like a huge, like, milestone to reach, like a huge first for us. And then today, I think we've been working just kind of on the touching distance, just getting those small focus changes in passive leadership, and using lots of flow. And it was interesting because I found that he seemed to become, I had one really good cycle where we did it a few repetitions, which stimulated a category change. We thought about it, we had some flow together, and then I was like, oh, well, actually, you know, I could leave now, but I think I've got a bit more in the tank. Why don't I go for another cycle? That would be really good for me, because I do struggle with repetitions, because I find, like, doing anything more than once is boring for me. And so practicing the same cycle more than once is challenging. And so I decided I was going to go again, and I actually found that he felt a lot more burnt out the second time. Like, one was enough for him too. And that was really interesting, because Elsa says that, you know, or has said to me in the past that, you know, horses can do this all day long, It's kind of like up to you to work out the way in which like they will deal with it best. And like, you know, they might put you really far away from them if you're tiring them out, but they can do it all day. And I definitely think there's some truth in that. I also think they can probably do it for a lot longer with Elsa, because she has much better feel and timing, right? And much more patience. And like finding the relationship that's going to work best for Lawrence and I, with the time limitations that I have in my life and our personalities together. And like, I think he's made massive internal progress in terms of trust. Like, I feel like there's a lot more trust. I feel like he's really stretching his comfort zone willingly these days, like a little bit more. Like, you know, like he is finding this really hard. And a few years ago I did Science in Motion with him, which is Jean-Luc Cornille's program. Super interesting program. I definitely use some of the principles all the time still when I work with Mia, and if I was working with any horse, like doing physical exercise, I would use, you know, those principles. And I remember when I had a lesson with him, with one of the sort of instructors, one of the people who kind of teaches similarly to his program, Debbie Snedden, that she said to me, you know, this is something you do for like 10 minutes max a day, because it's really hard for their body. And I think it's the same with Lawrence for this touching distance, that it's really hard for his mind. And I think that was a really good lesson for me to learn today, that actually tomorrow I think what I'll do is I'll do the one cycle, and then if I feel like I have more in the tank, then I'll do something else, because that's all we can do on the touching. And even though I want to practice the touching all the time, actually maybe then that's a good moment for me to practice something else. So it's really good. I feel like I'm in a really good place with the horses. I feel like the relationship is us. The relationships are strong between all of us. I'm just really happy and really grateful for the way everything's going. I've got so much content to create. I've got so many things on the to-do list. I'm super excited to get them all done. I've got a night shift tonight, and then I've got, I think, 3.5 days off. So I'm really planning to like chow down in that time, kind of like round this project off, get another couple of things going, and then it's Horsemanship Showcase at the end of the month, which is so exciting. So all of us here are like prepping mad for that, which is awesome. It's just like, I think this is the 7th year for Showcase, and I don't think I've ever been so excited. Like, I really don't. And it's the weirdest thing, because I feel like when I talk about it, I sound like one of those, you know, like influencers is like, you know, being paid to be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. We're all like super excited. No offense to any of those people. But I say it because genuinely I'm the most excited I've ever been. Like, there's so much more this year. Like, there's a whole new arena. Like, Warwick Schiller's coming along with a bunch of other people. Like, you know, it's so much bigger than it's been. Like, there's so much like expansion and growth, and like such a growth mindset. And yeah, I'm just really excited. Like, it's just going to be 2 days of like getting to have the most amazing conversations with people. I feel like I'm in like such a learning, open frame of mind about everything, and I just really want to like absorb. And I really hope to see all of you guys, everyone there, catch up with any of you guys. It's such an honor when people come to me and they're like, oh my God, I watched your video and I really loved it. Like, I feel like I'm just, you know, waffling stuff all the time. And yeah, it's the nicest thing in the world to sit and chat with somebody. So yeah, I really hope to see everyone there, as many people as can make it. It's also live streaming this year from the International Arena, so you can get that too. There'll be more on that definitely later in the week when I do my other content, other videos. But yeah, super nice, and just super grateful, really. I'm just super grateful. I'm super grateful that Lawrence didn't colic badly. I'm super grateful that Miss Mia is the absolute dude that she is, and yeah, that we have so much here. And yeah,